All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started because we do have a lot on our agenda today, but thanks everybody so much for being here. We're at the end of 2022 now, so we thought it would be a good time to do some updates and give you guys just kind of some information based on what we've had going on this year. It's been another busy and eventful year for us, working with all of you. We appreciate your continued partnership. We have a full agenda. We've got a lot of great updates for you today from our subject matter experts from across the city. And so just to put that out there too, we're thankful and grateful to our city partners for being here today and sharing this information, and of course for their continued partnership as well. So I think I mentioned it already, but for anybody who joined a little late, we have a Q&A. So if there are any questions, feel free to put them in there. And we will try to either answer them here live or a written response in the Q&A, or if we need more follow-up or need to get back to you, we'll do that as well. We will be sending out some information following this meeting with some of the presentations or links to information that we'll be sharing today. So be on the lookout for that as well. And so I think that's it. You all should have seen a poll as well. So if you can take a quick second to answer that, that would be great. All right, well, I think that's it. So I will now, oh, you know what? I didn't even introduce myself. Sorry, everybody. I'm Molly Duplashane. I'm the Executive Director for Excise and Licenses, which also houses the Office of Marijuana Policy. So thanks again for being here. I'll hop back on at the end as well. But for now, I will hand it over to Robert Darrow, who is the Excise and Licenses Investigation Supervisor.
Thank you so much, Molly. Yes, I'm Robert Darrow, Excise and Licenses Inspector Supervisor. I've been with the department for about 7 months now, so I haven't met a lot of you, but now you have a face for the name. And I'll throw my email in the chat. If you guys have any licensing related inspection questions, feel free to reach out to me and I'll try to answer those for you. Today, I just wanted to talk really quick about a reminder of the safe storage requirements. The requirements went into effect January 1 of this year. Inspectors do look for the safe storage requirements when we're coming out to your businesses. So we're looking at when an inspector comes into your business for a licensing inspection, we're looking at vaults, safes, functional equivalents, and all of the requirements that are in Rule 3. So if you needed those requirements, reach out. We can provide those to you. But just a reminder that we've been taking an educational approach for these businesses because it is an investment for a lot of you to be able to come into compliance. But there's a lot of evidence out there that it stops burglaries or at least detours them or keeps products safe. So we're really big believers in the requirements, and our inspectors will be searching for those things when we come out to your businesses. So again, they are a requirement. They've been a requirement since January 1 of this year. The second thing I wanted to talk about is an inspection checklist. We got an idea from some partner agencies that provide a checklist to businesses when they come out to you and inspect, so you can kind of have a list of things that we look out for when we're coming to your places of business. So I do have an example here. Try to share my screen. Not used to Teams, but here we go. Can everybody see that? Okay, so this is the marijuana establishment inspection checklist. We'll provide this in the follow-up materials that Molly mentioned at the beginning of the call, but just wanted everybody to have a list of the things that we look out for. The list is not all encompassing. There's, as you all know, the marijuana rules and laws are very expansive, so no way we could have a checklist that covers all of it. And you can pass or fail an inspection based on any of those requirements, but this is just common things that we see and some of the kind of higher level items that we'd like to bring to everyone's attention. And hopefully you can use this as a resource to come into compliance if you're not already, and have it as a resource for yourselves and your employees so that you can pass the licensing inspections, which is the goal. So anyways, that is the list. We'll share that with everybody. It's very nice to meet you all virtually. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it along.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robert. I am Shannon Donnelly. I am the Cannabis Process Navigator, and I started in this role at the beginning of the year. And I really focus on helping our applicants and licensees navigate excise and other city processes. And so what I'm going to go over today is a few of the resources that we have created within excise and licensing to help our applicants and licensees kind of navigate finding a location, what to do with that location, and then kind of going into pre-application meetings. So I wanted to share my screen and tell everyone about a tool that we have created to help our applicants navigate the finding a location within the city and county of Denver. So to find this tool, you can just navigate to our marijuana retail licensing and permitting page. And on the top of that page, we actually have our now new proximity check tool. It's listed first on there. You can click on this link right here, and it's actually going to walk you through what this tool does. And I'm going to go through a very, very quick kind of screen share on how you can use the tool. And so what it is it goes through our preliminary non-binding proximity checks for marijuana businesses. So within the city and county of Denver, marijuana specific licenses have different types of businesses that they cannot be within 1,000 feet of, or also zone districts. And so this is actually to help our applicants input an address into our tool and then be able to find if there's any proximity restrictions around this location. So you will navigate to this tool using the licensing page that I showed you, and then it's going to go through how to use the tool and goes through pictures and everything on what you're going to see when you're using the tool. And so today I'm going to run the tool for a marijuana hospitality and sales application or location. And we do have a video on the website for this tool that actually shows you how to use it. So what you would do is you would select the license that you would like to run a check for. So retail, marijuana, hospitality, and sales. So I would click on that license and a new screen is going to pop up. With this new screen up here, it says enter a valid address. And so I'm going to use the city and county web building. Maybe we want to put MJ Hospitality there. We'll see. So it would be 201. You are always going to need to put the direction of the street that you're looking for. So it is on West Colfax, and the address will pop up. If the address does not pop up, it is a possibility that that is not a valid address within the city and county Denver address database. So it found my location right here at 201 West Colfax. And to select a location, I will click on it. It is going to bring up the building ID, the neighborhood, and the zone district. Then these three dots at the bottom, I will click and I will set it as the location. As soon as I set it as the location, the GIS tool starts working and it is going to identify issues or locations that are within 1,000 feet that may be a proximity restriction in opening a business there. So when we look at the web building, we do have a childcare facility and a childcare parcel within 1,000 feet of the location. So this is an on-demand tool that can be used by any of our applicants. Specifically, we created this for our social equity applicants to help them be able to more quickly find if a location would comply or not comply with our proximity restrictions. Say you use this tool and you're able to find a location that will comply. We now, and as Robert said, and as Molly said, we'll be sending these resources out next week. We now also have a companion guide to our marijuana facilities guide that is the city and county of Denver Denver Marijuana License Establishment Permitting and Licensing Guide. And this goes through what a business should expect when licensing an establishment within the city and county of Denver. It goes through what the commercial construction process is and the pieces of that, including plan review. It also goes into licensing inspections and our operational permits, all things that are needed to have a operational marijuana business within the city and county of Denver. So those are our two new resources that we have for our applicants. And another thing that I'd like to talk about is our pre-application meetings. So if you are looking to have a new business within city and county of Denver, we actually offer now pre-application meetings, which includes 5 different departments to look at the floor plan and the site plan of the location that you are proposing and giving you feedback on if that floor plan will comply. If you'd like to schedule one of these meetings, you can reach out to me directly, and we do need a floor plan and a site plan to schedule this meeting. Currently, they happen on Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m., and they include excise and licensing, our Denver Health Department, the fire department, zoning, and building. So it's a really, really great resource for our social equity applicants and other individuals who are looking to operate within the city and county of Denver. So that's kind of my time, and we'll be sending out these resources after, and I'll drop my information in the chat if you'd like to reach out to learn more about any of these resources or our pre-application meetings. And now I believe Lieutenant Casson is next.
Awesome. Thanks, Shannon. Good morning. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time to attend the webinar with us here this morning. I'll go ahead and introduce myself for those of you that haven't seen me or met me out there yet. I'm Lieutenant Casson. I'm actually the supervisor over our marijuana inspections group for the Denver Fire Department. It's our inspectors that you wind up seeing out at your facilities twice a year, checking for all of the fire code issues and building code issues that we wind up seeing out there. I'd like to just make a comment that, I think the industry has been very successful in instituting safe practices and keeping any larger emergency incidents down. It's a credit to the diligence that the industry has put in on it and the attention that they put in on it. As a side note associated with things, Robert touched on the secure storage. Something that we just want to make sure that we mention is make sure you consult with your design professionals before making any actual modifications to your facilities, so as to avoid installing any security features that will put you out of compliance with building code or fire code features. Most notably, one of the things we see as a common issue that occurs, sometimes the security can kind of collide a little bit with egress paths and exiting for the buildings. So I just wanted to kind of comment on that. We definitely understand that margins are tight for the industry right now, and we are seeing a lot of consolidations and closures of facilities. But we want to try and remind everyone to just make sure you don't reduce your compliance budgets. The safety aspect of things is really, really important, and as we've promised the city council, we've promised the mayor's office that we will have to kind of continue to enforce the code. You'll be seeing us out there. The process for us isn't going to be changing. It'll be similar to what you've seen out of us in the past. There are, with regards to the fire safety issues and things that you have, there's some kind of low capital cost measures that you can implement to really help yourself out with compliance on the code. Support good housekeeping practices to allow for that good egress and overall safety within the facility. You can accomplish this by putting in place some institutional controls. Those are along the lines of, you have dedicated storage areas of places where you store ladders, hoses, carts, supplies, anything that you have that you're utilized in the operation of the business. The institutional control portion of that would be to have policies in place for employees that when an item is not being actively used, it needs to go back and be stored in that kind of dedicated storage area. Another good practice that can be done to support the good housekeeping would be to have employees clean and straighten their workspaces at the end of their shift, so that they come back into a clean workspace at the beginning of the next day. That's also something that's very useful in kind of supporting, especially that egress path side of things. Our firefighters can wind up coming out to your facility potentially in the middle of the night when nobody's there. It makes it easy for them to navigate the space and not trip over anything themselves either. Additionally, like with the current state of the commodity price, we are seeing an increase, especially at the cultivation facilities, of storage of dry plant material. There are limits within the fire code as to how much of this loose combustible fiber that you can store within the buildings. In the event that one of our inspectors comes out and visits you next year in your facility, and it winds up as an item on your inspection report, just work with your compliance teams and your design professionals to manage the storage of these types of materials so that they can fall within any of the code requirements that are out there. We definitely don't want to see any reduction in the public trust that the industry has done and built up with regards to safety. It's a good thing for the industry, and we just want to kind of continue to implore upon you to work together to protect the industry and maintain the strong safety record that has been established. So that's all that I had for everybody for right now. Thank you for your time, and I think I'm ready to pass it off. I think it was going to go to DDPHE now.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen really quick. Can you see that, Abby?
No, not yet. There's the green button at the bottom.
Oh, gotcha.
There you go.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Allen. I'm with the Department of Public Health and Environment. I work in the Environmental Quality Division. I've been with the agency for just over 3 years, and today I will be covering odor control plans. I'll cover what the industry is responsible for in this area. I'll go over what is required in an odor control plan, which I will be referring to as an OCP going forward. Then I'll outline the inspection process and cover what areas we've seen issues during inspections. I'll touch briefly on the potential for enforcement in the future and leave you with some resources. In November of 2016, the rules and regulations governing nuisance odors were approved. These were put in place after holding several stakeholder meetings throughout 2016 involving the City of Denver, marijuana industry representatives, and community representatives. These cover 7 different industry segments with specific appendices outlining the requirements for marijuana cultivation facilities and MIPS. These appendices provided an outline for odor control plans and what should be in them. Every marijuana cultivation and MIP facility is required to have an approved odor control plan on record with environmental quality. All but a few that are newer into the business have had those in place. There are 2 major requirements for odor control plans when the rules and regulations were first issued. The first was that carbon filtration is recognized as the best method for elimination of odor from marijuana. To be clear, it's not the only, but it is the most effective. The second was that all OCPs must be reviewed and signed off by a professional engineer or certified industrial hygienist. If a business can demonstrate that they had their equipment in use prior to the adoption of the rules and regulations, they would not have to get this sign off. Some other common methods of odor mitigation, which have come into play over the years, are the REMI Halo, which is an air duct ionizer purification system. I've seen some good results with those during inspections. Another is an essential oil system, which sprays a combination of essential oils to mask the odor of marijuana. Think of it as industrial Febreze, and those tend to be more with specific facilities. What other information is your business required to provide in their odor control plans? The first thing we're looking for is some facility information. What we want here is the name of the business, contact information for the building owner, contact information for the building operator, physical address and mailing address if they're different. Facility type, is it a cultivation or MIP or both? If you have both operations in one building, you can do a single odor control plan for both. We want the hours of operation. So when we show up unannounced for inspections, when can we expect to get into the building? And a description of your operations. We need emergency contact information and your business file number, BFN. We frequently get the state license number here instead of the Denver BFN. Please provide both. If any of this information changes during the course of your operation, you need to submit a revised odor control plan to environmental quality. Due to the amount of time that has passed since these OCPs were filed, there's usually many updates in this section that need to happen. Next, we want your facility odor emissions information. Here we want a detailed floor plan letting us know what areas of the building are used for what aspects of cultivation or production, and what equipment is being used in those areas to mitigate odor. What are the phases of production, what takes place, such as harvesting, curing, extraction, that kind of information. And finally, your odor mitigation practices. This section is the biggest and most critical to us. You must provide information on administrative controls, such as what the building and management activities are to prevent odor moving throughout the building. What are the staff training procedures and how are they documented? What records will you be keeping for maintenance of the system? Examples of this are records of carbon replacement or functionality checks. We also want your engineering controls. This is where you provide evidence that the plan has been reviewed by a professional engineer or certified industrial hygienist, or the receipts the equipment was in place at the time of rule adoption. We want to know what the system design is and what technologies are you using to mitigate odor. What are your operational processes and what is the maintenance plan? For carbon specifically, most carbon filters are good for 12 to 24 months, depending on the manufacturer. And then finally, how will you handle and record complaints? The last section would be appendices here, and we'd like to see forms that you're using to track staff training, maintenance, and complaints. Simple spreadsheets are good for this. It doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be something that you will consistently do. The final major component of the rules and regulations are facility inspections. There's 3 reasons we would conduct an inspection of the facility. First is a routine inspection. Second would be a licensing inspection. So if you're doing modifications of premise or something to that effect. And finally would be complaints. If we had a complaint, odor complaint specifically to your facility, that would be another reason we come out. In all of these inspections, these are the primary things that we're looking for. Do you have a copy of the plan available upon inspection? It's easiest to have it in your compliance binder with the supporting logs. You know, over the course of inspecting facilities, at least 50% of the facilities struggle to find this, with some not even sure what I'm talking about. Please make sure to familiarize yourself with that. Do you have maintenance records? 70% of the businesses I go to miss the mark on this. And you know, if it's not documented, we're going to assume you're not doing it. Do you have a training log? And what we're looking for there is, do you and your employees understand what is required of the facility and them as part of the OCP? This is also frequently missing. Do you have a complaint log? Unless we've directed you to add something to this, it should be blank. If you have stuff recorded on your complaint log and we aren't aware of it, that's going to be a problem. And just quick, if you receive a complaint, you are required to notify environmental quality of that. And then finally, is the equipment outlined in the plan in place, operational, and well-maintained? You know, I've seen carbon filters not plugged in during inspections. I've seen them all moved into storerooms, or I've seen them with a pre-filter so brown you could never tell it was white. Please don't be those people. Potential for enforcement. You know, now that we've inspected almost all of the facilities required to have OCPs and advised them on what needed to be corrected, going forward, there will be a possibility of enforcement actions. If you don't have the equipment outlined or it isn't functional, you will fail your inspection and receive orders to comply and potentially an administrative citation. If you don't have a copy of your odor control plan or supporting documentation, you will receive orders to comply and potentially an administrative citation. Either of these situations will potentially result in more frequent inspections. Our goal here is to spend more time with those who are not complying and periodically visit those that are. On this page, you have my email, phone number, and a link to the environmental quality odor page. Here you can find the rules and regulations governing nuisance odors in English and Spanish, some general information, checklists, how to report a complaint or malfunction, and a fact tab. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleagues in PHI.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Give me 1 second here and I will share my screen. Perfect. Good. Is everybody seeing our presentation? Hopefully, yes.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Try the
Hey,
green share screen button at the bottom there.
Oh, I didn't click actually share. So I clicked on my screen. It didn't actually share it. I apologize.
Now we see it.
Yeah, cool. Let me get it going here. Perfect. So we good now?
Yep, we can see it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Sorry about that. Well, perfect. Hello, everybody. Thank you for letting us be here today. My name is Jeremy Epley. I'm currently the Canvas supervisor for our team, and I have Jessica Davis here with me to help present on our shelf stability evaluation requirement. We will both be able to answer any questions that come up after the presentation. As Tim said, we both work here at DDPHE. We are at the Public Health Investigations Department or Division, excuse me. We currently have a Canvas team, which is made up of a specialized group of folks that conduct routine inspections and investigations throughout the Canvas industry. We have an announcement to make regarding our shelf stability evaluation process, but also wanted to use this time to check in with the industry and garner any feedback that we can today. Just like to give a quick history of our regulatory process regarding cannabis infused products. We began inspections in 2010 on a case-by-case basis. We began evaluating potentially hazardous infused cannabis products around 2014 and verifying they were safe to store outside refrigeration or considered shelf stable. This is also when we started doing routine inspections at the retail and manufacturer level. In between 2014 and 2017, we had various investigations that led to hold orders, disposals, and/or recalls. In 2017, we started to see a rise in the use of hemp-derived cannabinoids, and we were trying to stay up to date with current trends and uses of all these new products. In 2022, we created a shelf stability affidavit that streamlined the evaluation process for our department and the industry. And currently, we are still conducting routine inspections at cannabis facilities and conducting investigations for various public health concerns at all levels of the industry. Effective today, DDPHE will no longer be assessing edible cannabis-infused products for shelf stability. We will be discontinuing our shelf stability evaluation affidavit requirement. As I stated in the previous slide, we will no longer be requiring proof via our affidavit process. What this means for the industry is that businesses will no longer be required to submit applications to classify products as shelf stable. Classified as shelf stable, conduct testing to validate shelf stability, and or retain documentation regarding shelf stable products. We will have a memo posted to our website within the next week, and we will send out a link to where it will be posted once it is on our website. While we are moving away, I saw some of those hand claps. While we are moving away from our shelf stability assessments in 2023, we would like to emphasize that cannabis-infused products that contain ingredients that require time temperature control in traditional foods to limit pathogenic microorganism growth or toxin formation, such as milk or other dairy products, may still require evaluation to determine shelf stability. All cannabis-infused products intended for retail consumption are still required to be manufactured by a regulated, approved source. DDPHE will continue to evaluate products to ensure they are produced under safe conditions. For any follow-up, please feel free to contact our agency or reference Chapter 23 of the DRMC, which is the Denver Revised Municipal Code. Now I'm going to pass it over to Jessica to discuss some current public health trends that our department is running into during our inspections.
Thanks, Jeremy. So as Jeremy mentioned, we would like to touch base on current public health trends that we are seeing during our regulatory inspections. The following examples are all topics that may pose risk to public health and safety if not addressed by appropriate control measures. In the cannabis industry, product contamination concerns will likely always be our biggest talking points. Physical contamination can appear in the form of spider mites or other pests, or any other unwanted physical substances present in a final product. Biological contaminants such as powdery mildew or other molds, and chemical contaminants such as heavy metals or pesticides are all focuses of our inspections and investigations. We have also seen an increase in manufacturers producing edible ingredients in unapproved spaces. Facilities that were previously producing smoking-only products are now producing concentrates that will be used as an ingredient in an edible product without the proper guidance from our department. We see any concentrate that will be used in an edible product as an edible ingredient from start to finish. This is similar to other regulated industries that ensure the food ingredients are produced under safe conditions. This is also why we require hand sinks, food grade sanitizing agents, and other public health control measures during the production of those concentrates that would be used in an edible or as an edible ingredient. This is also why we have the authority to regulate a cannabis concentrate as a food ingredient throughout the entirety of that process, not only when we designate the concentrate as a food ingredient at the edible facility. Our investigators also focus on ensuring that ingredients used in edible products are food grade and from an approved source. We also monitor the source of hemp-derived cannabinoids to ensure that they are produced under safe and sanitary conditions. Now we would like to present a few hypothetical questions to get the gears moving and prompt how our agency can better serve the industry. How can we help you? What suggestions do you have? Is there any topics that we have maybe missed the mark on? Would the industry like to engage in periodic check-ins or group meetings with the health department? Please provide any feedback you may have via email, and our contact information will be provided on the next slide. So thank you for having us here today. We do look forward to continually building relationships with the industry stakeholders and working together to make Denver safer. Our emails are all listed on this slide. Please provide any feedback regarding the questions on the previous slide or our shelf stability announcement via email.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Next up, we have I think Daniel Rayner from Kazar. You on the call?
Yeah, thanks, Abby. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Daniel Rainey here. I'm about to drop a few links and emails in the chat, and then I'm going to share my screen. Okay, let me know if you can see that. Should be a PowerPoint. Yep. Okay, great. So I'm here to give a very brief introduction to the Energize Denver Ordinance, the portion of it that affects manufacturing, agricultural, and industrial, or MAI buildings. So in Denver, commercial multifamily buildings account for 49% of Denver's greenhouse gas emissions. The vast majority of those emissions come from large buildings, which we've defined as those that are 25,000 square feet and up. Denver has committed to eliminating greenhouse gas emissions by 2040, which means that our goals are to be net zero energy for new buildings and homes by 2030 and net zero energy for existing buildings and homes by 2040. And this is all under the Energize Denver Ordinance, which was approved by city voters. So this is a long definition of what constitutes an MAI building, but the main thing I want to highlight here is that agriculture is one of those. So cannabis growers are subject to this ordinance. So currently I'm in the process of doing rulemaking for how these buildings will improve their energy efficiency and decrease their greenhouse gas emissions. Our rulemaking says that by December 1st of next year, our office has to publish rules regarding benchmarking and performance requirements for how covered manufacturing, agricultural, and industrial buildings will reduce their energy consumption and or their greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 with input from industry stakeholders. So our goal is to achieve a 30% savings across all covered buildings, including this MAI sector by 2030. But that does not mean that each individual building has to make a 30% energy use reduction. It's an overall goal across all covered buildings. So manufacturing agricultural buildings are currently exempt from our benchmarking ordinance, which says that each year large buildings 25,000 square feet and up have to report their energy usage to the city. You can expect that that exemption will go away next year with the updated rulemaking. So agricultural cannabis buildings that are 25,000 square feet and up will have to report their annual energy usage. In addition to that, a one-time requirement is that these buildings have to officially designate themselves as an MAI building via the official designation form on our website, which I linked in the chat. As I mentioned, these rules are being developed through targeted stakeholder engagement. And we've had 3 rounds so far and plan to have a 4th one in Q1 of 2023. So please reach out to me if you're interested in being a part of that. I also wanted to briefly mention my colleague Tom Wildman is on the call. He's our small buildings administrator. So he works with all commercial multifamily buildings in the city that are between 5 and just under 25,000 square feet. So there's 6,000 of those buildings that he's working with. And of those buildings, approximately 140 to 150 are cannabis growers. So these, what we're calling small buildings, have to either certify that a minimum of 90% of their lighting load comes from LEDs, or they have to source 20% of their energy needs from on or offsite renewables, so solar or some kind of other renewable subscription. So we're working on possibly developing specific other alternate compliance options for certain industries, which may include these smaller cannabis growers. So if you have any thoughts or you're interested in talking, you can reach out to Tom as well. And here's our contact information. That was a very quick overview, but just wanted to let everybody know that that's going on, and reach out to us if you have any questions or want to get involved. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel.
Oop, I will stop sharing. Thanks, everyone.
Go ahead.
Back to you, Molly. That's all I was gonna say.
All right, well, I think that's it. So we finished up a little quicker than what we were expecting. So thanks again to all of our city partners who jumped in today to provide us all that great information. I hope you all were able to find it useful. We did put another 2 questions in the poll, so if you can try to answer those just to help us provide some information and feedback about this meeting and how we can make them more useful, or if there's any additional information that you think we were missing or not addressed today. I also wanted to put one more thank you out there to Abby Borchers, who helped us organize and set the agenda and figure out the best information that we would share with you all today. We've seen a couple comments, lots of great comments and questions in the Q&A, and we'll try to get to all of them. And I did see that the information, like the contact information that we're putting in the chat, isn't copy and pasting. So yes, we'll make sure all of that is in the follow-up bulletin information that we send out. And if you do have additional questions or comments, or if you want to send a meeting request to set up a meeting with the specific individuals that presented today, or an agency that you have specific questions for, you can email marijuanainfo@denvergov.org with those questions or comments or meeting requests. And so I think that's it. I'll look to Abby and Shannon and see if I'm missing anything. If not, we'll hop off early, and thanks again to everybody for attending and to our city partners for presenting. Have a great holiday season and a happy new year, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.